Okay, let's get into it. There's a big difference between like wishful thinking and real hope. Wishful thinking says, "Ah, man, I hope this works out," but there's like nothing solid underneath it. It's like hoping that your team is going to come back when they're down by 20 in the fourth quarter, or hoping maybe just that the check engine light magically turns itself off. Maybe it's like hoping the weather changes just because you've planned an outdoor event. And um, sometimes wishful thinking, it's just desire with no foundation. But hope, real biblical hope, is something different because it has something underneath it. There's something strong enough to hold the weight of life when things feel uncertain. That's the kind of hope that Peter wants to talk about here in 1 Peter 1, 3 to 5. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to his great mercy, he has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. Peter begins here with worship. Blessed be God, the God and Father of our Lord Jesus. Before he talks about suffering and exile and trials or pressures, he starts with praise, not because life is easy, because God has done something to secure that even hardship and difficulty in our lives can't take away. He begins in that place of worship. And then he says, according to his great mercy. That's where our hope begins, not with our strength or our abilities. It's not with our circumstances improving. Our hope begins with the mercy of God. Peter says that he's caused us to be born again into a living hope. Born again means that God has given us a new life, not just a fresh start, not just better habits, an actual new life, something different. And this new life has come through the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. And that's why Christian hope is not wishful thinking. Our hope is tied to that empty tomb. Jesus died and he rose. So the Christian does not look at pain, grief, weakness, or death as that's no longer the final word. That doesn't have the last say anymore. The resurrection tells us that God brings life where there was death. And Peter calls this a living hope. Living hope means that it's alive because Jesus is alive. It's not fragile or imaginary. It's not based on things going well today, this sort of baseless hope. Peter says we have an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, unfading, and kept in heaven. Everything in this world eventually wears out. Everything on your car is going to break down. Money is going to disappear. Our health will fade. Plans will fall apart. Every good gift in this life, everything that you enjoy is temporary. But Peter says that our inheritance can't perish. Isn't going to be stained, isn't going to fade, and it's being kept by God himself. And Peter doesn't stop here. He says that we are also guarded by God's power through faith. So the inheritance, it's kept for us, and we are kept for the inheritance. That's security. There's like a real hope there in that. And today, maybe you feel uncertain. Maybe there are things in your life you just can't control. There's questions that are unanswered. There are outcomes. There's so many things we just can't guarantee. Peter doesn't tell you to pretend that everything is fine. He points you to something stronger, to give basis to that hope that God has shown you mercy. Jesus is risen from the dead, and that our hope is alive and secure in our inheritance. And God is guarding his people until the day of salvation, when all of this gets fully revealed. So don't confuse our hope with like a naive optimism. Optimism says things will probably get better. The living hope that we have says Jesus is risen, and my future, my eternity, all of that is secure in him. That is the source of our unshaking, unfading hope. Wherever you find yourself, God goes with you today.